This is the River Seine, a silky waterway of contrast and charm. But history shows she's also been a slippery means for the conqueror. In one gentle glide, she'll remove you from the landings of the D-Day beaches and deliver you to the magnificence of Monet's garden. But you'll think nothing of carving a divisive line through Paris, her left bank being the one of liberty and freedom and love, and her right bank the one of power, politics and scandal. Yet it doesn't seem to matter to the Seine herself. She'll just continue to flow and glide. And if we're smart, we'll hitch a ride. Scenic's 11-day Normandy and Gems of the Seine cruise sails from Paris to Honfleur and back, taking in some of the most fertile and fascinating regions of France. Sleep now. The area's beauty belies its rich and brutal history. The most gigantic air and naval operation in history occurred along this coastline on D-Day, the 6th of June 1944. In that one day, almost 1 million tonnes of concrete and equipment were ferried across the English Channel to help establish an Allied base just down there. Over 150,000 troops and 14,000 vehicles were brought in, while 10,000 aircraft flew overhead. In that one day, the Atlantic Wall, held by the Germans, was breached, the Western Front was opened, and a major objective in the liberation of Europe had been achieved.
You're crazy, but that's what makes
The little seaside village of Arromanches is the geographical centre of the D-Day beaches. Today, this unassuming tourist town is famous the world over due to the remains of the artificial harbour that sit off the coast. So all of what we can see here was brought in on D-Day?
Yeah. On D-Day, they crossed the English Channel and start to build the port the day right after, once they were sure there were no more Germans on the coastline anymore to counterattack, for example. The big concrete stuff, they were moved here, then start to sink about June 7th. They start for the first one, got sunk here.
Then they built the port around and brought in the troops. It's an extraordinary story, really, of what they managed to achieve.
Oh yeah, logistics is a very big, important part of the war.
Yeah.
It's not only about fighting.
Yeah.
It's not only the strategy and the tactic, but also the engineering, yeah, for sure. It's a key for winning battle that way.
Strategically positioned overlooking the remains of the artificial harbour is the D-Day Museum, connecting visitors to the history that unfolded here. So Mulberry, it refers to what happened out here?
Yes, Mulberry is the nickname for the artificial port.
Right.
Yeah, they need a secret name to keep it secret to the Germans.
Yep.
So it was built in England in different companies and build it like a big puzzle.
And they all connected?
All connected.
They were able to go up and down with the tide and with the sea?
They can download one huge sheet every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. What happens here now? Tourist town?
Tourist town mostly, so it's still a very small village, mostly for tourism, for D-Day sites.
Yeah.
So everything's turning around World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very beautiful. It's a beautiful town, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
And Normandy is a beautiful part of France. Or
I agree.
Although beautiful, this coastal region is a sombre tribute to its battle-weary past. This seems almost brand new.
Yes. It's been built only a couple of years ago.
And specifically to commemorate British soldiers?
Yes. All the British soldiers fallen during the Battle of Normandy, so it's over than 22,000 names all around us.
Oh, cool. And why here?
So if you just check nearby you, there will be Gull Beach. So part of the British just landed close by where we are.
Right.
So there was a perfect location with a beautiful view overlooking Gull Beach.
And the shape of it?
The shape, it seems like a Union Jack from the air. That's why they shaped that way, with all the path and the grass between.
The countryside around Normandy inspired some of the greatest artists of all time, while also bearing witness to some of the fiercest battles in history. We've been delighting in its beauty as we continue our 11-day Normandy and Gems of the Seine cruise with Scenic, exploring some of the region's most significant towns. The beautiful city of Fécamp, the camp of the fig tree, so named because a trunk of a fig tree containing the blood of Christ washed up here and the blood gushed forth. But it's not the only liquid the city is famous for. For all its religious significance and its reputation as the favoured residence for the Dukes of Normandy, it's the ancient Benedictine liqueur that has really put this town on the tourist map.
Wow, how's the architecture? Clearly the kind of architecture that was inspired by a big night on something wild. I think I know exactly what that something wild was.
The focal point of the town is this architectural masterpiece, built at the end of the 19th century to provide a prestigious setting for what is the world's only distillery for Benedictine liqueur.
Why is it so fancy?
To create a myth, a huge story about the Benedictine. That's why right now, for example, we are in the room where you have all of the abbots from the Abbey of Fécamp, which is near.
And they're all holding books and looking learned and intellectual.
Exactly.
And so it gives the Benedictine itself a kind of even grander feel, doesn't it?
Exactly, in order to convey the story once more.
Benedictine liqueur is produced right here and exported all around the world.
How long has it been produced here?
Since 1863, the beginning of Benedictine,
Yeah.
and all the distillery, it is maintained from the beginning.
Ah, so it's all original.
Yes.
How many bottles do you produce?
We produce more than 1 million bottles per year.
And this is the only place that it's made?
This is the only place, this is the only distillery Benedictine in the world.
And what are the secret ingredients?
Oh, they are secret. No one knows it entirely. We're gonna start with the classic Benedictine, okay?
This is the classic.
The classic one with 27 spices and herbs. This is the sweetest one, and this is the most aromatic one.
And very rich.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is delicious.
It has 300 grams of sugar per liter. This is a very syrupy liquor, the classic Benedictine. This one is single cask. It's a blend of Benedictine and brandy, and it is aged 6 months older than the first one. Here is more the brandy.
Yes, you can feel the alcohol in that one.
Yes, this is why we're never called in Normandy.
And what's the third one?
1888. We call it like this because to make honor to the beginning of the distillery. This is a blend of Benedictine and cognac. So this is our most elegant expression of Benedictine.
So beautiful. I'll take the lot.
After a day of exploring, Scenic Gem lures us back with 5-star comfort and culinary delights.
As well as the main restaurant, there is a fine dining restaurant, L'Amour, which you will be invited to at least once on your cruise. And befitting of a fine dining restaurant is a menu with items such as mousse de truite fumée et gelée de camembert, risotto au safran au magret de canard fumé, and côte de bœuf. How good is that?
Discover the gems of the Seine in truly all-inclusive ultra-luxury with Scenic in 2025. Exclusive Scenic and rich events, Scenic free choice activities, all onboard meals and premium drinks are included. Secure your 2025 river cruise with economy class flights included and early bird savings of up to $800 per person. Getaway viewers can save an additional $300 per person with an exclusive voucher. To request your voucher, visit scenic.com.au/getaway, call 1300 790 372 or speak to your nearest travel advisor. The villages of northern France are each as charming as the next, and we've had the good fortune to experience several on board Scenic Gem as we meander down the Seine. While each village is memorable, there's only one that can boast being the home and inspiration for one of the greatest Impressionist painters of all time.
It was this little village of Giverny and the surrounding countryside that first attracted Monet to the area, and it's not hard to see why. If ever a town was smooched by angels' lips, it was this one.
Monet was so enchanted by the town, he chose to call it home for over 4 decades. That home and the gardens he created around it became his greatest masterpiece.
Claude Monet was the master of Impressionism, but one look around this place and you soon realise he was a master of cool. He found this little slice of French paradise along the river and set about combining his passion for gardening with his passion for colour and constructed this, his coolest work of art, surely.
Monet's passion for gardening was almost equal to his passion for art, and his talent for colour and light wasn't limited to the garden and the canvas.
The dining room.
Yeah, exactly.
Why yellow?
Because it is the room that has the most sun during the day, so he really wanted it to be bright.
Boy, you achieved that. The photograph on it, it's exact. That's him in this room.
Yeah.
It is exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. They really are redoing everything the way it was, so they're doing a great job.
The house itself was an artistic project for Monet and has been perfectly preserved and maintained.
How cool is this room?
Yeah, I think it's the best one.
Oh, it's a studio?
Yes, the first one he had, we know that he had 3 there, and so after that it was turned into a place where he would enjoy a coffee and talk about the art. So that's why it's only his paintings there.
How chilled is this? It's great. I want this room.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one.
There is light everywhere. And everywhere you look, you see the garden.
Yeah, exactly.
It's believed that Monet spent most of his waking hours in the garden, methodically planning and pruning.
He enjoyed to organize everything, so he would put up different tones, different shades all together. So that's why you can see the yellow together with the orange or with the red, and also the pink with the purple.
How long did he live here for?
From 1883 up until 1926, so when he died, almost 40 years.
So a good 40 years. And a lot of his work came from here.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the water lilies, which are probably the most well-known work.
Further downstream, our scenic cruise delivers us to the village of La Roche-Guyon and its namesake castle.
This chateau was first built in the 12th century as a military stronghold, and it was never considered a great beauty. In fact, one critic at the time referred to it as a frightful castle without title to nobility. But, you know, regardless of its questionable beauty and its checkered history, including a stint as German Field Marshal Rommel's Second World War headquarters, these days the Chateau La Roche-Guyon is more swan than duck.
But this evening, what we're interested in is what's inside the castle, in the form of an exclusive classical concert.
Your quartet is called the Improbable Quartet.
Yes.
Why?
Because usually when you hear about quartet, you think of a string quartet. And there is none of these instruments here. There's a double bass, a harp, a vibraphone, and a clarinet. And this was quite a challenge to build arrangements because this combination is quite extraordinary. And that's why we named the quartet Improbable.
These scenic and rich experiences take you behind the scenes to enjoy moments that are inaccessible to most travellers. final leg of our Normandy and Gems of the Seine cruise with Scenic has delivered us to Auvers-Sur-Oise, more simply known as the Painters' Village, owing to its connection to one of the most famous artists of all time. Van Gogh arrived in the village here in May 1890, and although thoroughly depressed and lonely, was immediately inspired to paint, and within a period of 70 days produced 80 paintings of the village and the surrounds, among them some of his most renowned works. 2 months later, he shot himself in the chest and died. He leaves a lasting and long legacy, though, and a visit to the village today is like taking a stroll through a Van Gogh masterpiece. Located less than 30 k's from the heart of Paris, the town remains a welcome refuge for the artistic community. Of course, Van Gogh wasn't the only painter to be inspired by the village, was he?
No,
there were
no.
little greats like Cézanne, Monet.
Oh, yeah, they went before him. There were a lot of painters before him and loads of painters after him.
Yeah.
But after him, it was because of him.
Today, is it still a village of artists?
It's a village of artists, but the painters don't paint the landscape today.
Yeah.
You know, they paint in the studio.
And you live here, don't you?
Yes.
And you're a musician as well?
Yes, all my neighbors are musicians or painters. We share art.
Even if I could, wouldn't go back where we started. I know you're so okay.
The hotel where Van Gogh lived and died in the late 1800s now operates as a museum and restaurant.
He was on the smallest room, the cheapest room.
So from here he set forth each day. He was inspired by the light, he was inspired by the fields and the greenery and the flowers.
Yes. He would run left, right, east, west, north, south to look for a spot to paint. And often it takes him a long time to decide, I have to go there.
Although Van Gogh only spent his final few months in Auvers, it was the most productive time of his life. The town is a living, breathing gallery of his works. And this is the difference between the mere mortal man and the artist. We see a church, he sees a masterpiece, doesn't he?
Yes. He looks for the spots to paint, but in fact, he's not painting the subject. He's painting in state of mind.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
His emotion. He says, I choose the colors of my emotion.
Before cruising to our final destination of Paris, we have one more stop in the French countryside, and it sure is a beauty. If you were never to visit Chantilly Castle, you could never possibly fathom or appreciate the grandeur, the magnificence, the size. I could give you hundreds of years of history as a background story, but that'd take a week. Suffice to say, such scale and opulence comes down to the usual. One bloke attempting to outdo the other. I could either drop my strides or I could build this. First built in the 11th century as a defensive fortress, Chantilly Castle has slowly evolved over the years, with its latest incarnation created by the Duke of Aumale, son of the last King of France, considered to be one of the greatest collectors of his time. Wow, this is very impressive, isn't it? So what's so significant about this?
It is the second largest historical collection after the Louvre in France. It's 3 Raphael, and it's a jewel.
A jewel,
masterpiece in there. What's impressive is that we are in an old museum. It's a museum that it stayed the same still of the 20th century.
It was declared a historic monument in 1988 and opened up to the public for tours. There are some manuscripts here from 1200s. It's remarkable.
Yes, it's a second collection of all manuscripts in France.
Right. And it's a magnificent room, too. I mean, even the design of the room is magnificent, isn't
It's a shrine. That means what is outside the book must be as beautiful as what is in the book.
Artists always talk about the light. Theirs is an endless search to capture it, to play with it. I can't say that I ever really understood
until now maybe, to see it ripple upon Monet's pond, to see it smooch his lilies, to feel the tortured light of Van Gogh's village of Auvers, to be delivered to each upon the shimmering twinkle of the Seine, to a final destination of Paris, the city of lights, I feel as though maybe, finally, with this fabulous cruise, I've perhaps seen the light.
Discover the gems of the Seine in truly all-inclusive ultra-luxury with Scenic in 2025. Exclusive scenic and rich events, scenic free choice activities, all onboard meals and premium drinks are included. Secure your 2025 river cruise with economy class flights included and early bird savings of up to $800 per person. Getaway viewers can save an additional $300 per person with an exclusive voucher. To request your voucher, visit scenic.com.au/getaway, call 1300 790 372 or speak to your nearest travel advisor.